Let's just touch on one other issue, and then I'll just ask you some general questions. There's been a couple bills that sort of made it through the Senate, sort of didn't make it through the Senate on gun control. So talk about that particular issue. That's, in light of a lot of the recent events, not just Boston, but Sandy Hook and some of the others. And we are out west. People value guns, other people don't. So talk a little bit about that and any kind of legislation that's trying to make it through the House and your point of view on that issue.
Okay. Well, first, let me say I believe that any gun legislation has to respect the right of law-abiding citizens to be able to possess firearms under the Second Amendment, and I fully support that, and will do everything I can to respect that right. Any legislation that's considered has to respect the right of individuals to protect themselves in their home, and I believe that we need to do that as well. I recognize, being from a western state, that we have a lot of, in my district in particular, we have a diversity of opinions on what should be done and to whom, and which types of guns should be included in any types of legislation. Where I am is where 2/3 of the American people are, which is a belief that at a minimum we should have background checks to prevent criminals, particularly violent criminals, from being able to access guns, and to prevent the mentally ill. 40% of guns that are purchased now are purchased without any background check whatsoever. 87% of Nevadans support background checks. Many of them are, members of the NRA. So I think at a minimum that is something that is a common sense measure that we should be able to reach bipartisan agreement on in order to move forward some level of safety for our communities. And I hope that as we move forward, that whether it's in the Senate or in the House, that we're able to get that level of agreement and understanding, because not 90% of the American people believe that that's a step that should be taken.
Some people say that one of the ways to combat some of the violent incidences that we've had with guns is to strengthen mental health programs. That can be as effective as any other kind of gun control measure.
I agree that we also need to consider mental health support, particularly in a state like Nevada that is woefully under-resourced in mental health services. A tragic event where this, mother stabbed her 2 children and then stabbed herself. That wasn't a gun, it was a knife. But clearly there was something wrong mentally. And we should have better resources in place to help people who are going through that level of mental illness, to prevent that type of violence, because that wasn't with the gun, it was with the knife, but it still had the same effect. 3 people are dead, 2 children and a mother. And my heart goes out to that situation, as it does to the families of Sandy Hook, as it does to families that are affected by violence each and every day in our communities throughout America.
Are you going to work harder to increase the federal funding to the state of Nevada to support more mental health programs?
Yes. Okay. Nevada, Nevada does not get our fair share of federal dollars to begin with for every dollar we send in taxes to the federal government, we only get 70 cents back in support and services. And states like Mississippi and Tennessee get more than a dollar in return. And so, somebody's going to get that federal support. Now, look, I am not a defender of every federal agency or program. I'm a defender of my constituents who rely on services from the federal government. And mental health care is one of those areas that I think we can be doing a better job of getting support to the state. The state also needs to do its job in properly funding and resourcing support for individuals and families. We've got veterans that are coming back with PTSD. We've got seniors who are isolated in their homes and who are depressed. We have working families who, have lost their homes, who've lost their jobs, and that's stressful. And at every degree, we should be providing support to individuals so that they're not left to fend for themselves and then turn to a violent situation against themselves, a loved one, or someone in the community. That's not how we treat our neighbors and our friends.
Okay, well, I have a lot more, but I'm a little limited on time here, and that's fine. Just give us a quick little, synopsis of what it's like to be a freshman congressman, and hitting the big time your first time, and a little bit of that. So,
well,
there's got to be some pleasure to this job, certainly.
Oh, yeah. I'm honored. Look, I am honored. I'm a kid that grew up here in Nevada that never planned to be in elected office, let alone a member of Congress. And so to have been elected and then sworn in, it's been very, what's the word I want to use? I'm very honored to serve and to be a representative of the people of the 4th Congressional District. We have just completed our first 100 days, and I can tell you that we are working extremely hard to represent our district. We have an incredible district staff that's traveling throughout the state, meeting with constituents about their needs, whether it be for Medicare, Social Security, veterans benefits, housing, and we're helping people, get answers from federal agencies that they deserve to get. We have introduced our first bill and had a hearing on that bill, and as a freshman member, I can say that I'm definitely hitting the ground running, and I'm trying to deliver for my constituents. I am very focused on outreach and making sure that every part of our district feels that I am open and accessible, and that I'm listening to them and taking what they share with me back to inform the decisions that I make, that I'm not making decisions in a vacuum, and that I really respect their opinion. I'm co-chairing the task force on immigration and have been able to contribute input on the process, and I'm very focused on getting a comprehensive immigration reform bill passed that both protects our families and keeps our families together, and that helps us address, our education and workforce needs going forward in a comprehensive immigration reform bill, and I'm very hopeful that we will get something done. So, I am very pleased with the progress we're making on the first 100 days. DC is a different place. The Congress operates, under different rules. I don't always understand or agree with that process, but I'm very honored to be there on behalf of the constituents who sent me there to fight for them, and I'm going to continue doing the best job I can and deliver.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for the few minutes, and it's an honor for us to have you here in Mesquite. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.